Hi, my name's Franco. I am a recent homeowner. Worked with Christian from the Crotty Group, who I met when I studied abroad in Barcelona, and we've been friends since. And I watched him go along with his process of purchasing a home and saw how much benefit he got out of it, and that inspired me to talk to him and the Crotty Group on making that my own reality. So being a homeowner was always a dream of mine. As a Peruvian immigrant, my mom always pushed it as a goal, and Christian helped me achieve that. I'd lived in Chicago for 1 year and rented, and towards the end of my lease, I'd begun wondering where I was gonna go and looking into renting other properties. Then I had a conversation with Christian one night that kind of inspired me to get started on my journey of potentially looking into buying a home. It didn't really seem like a reality because of how complicated it was, and I had no idea where to start. But based on our first conversation, Christian kind of laid out a great overview of all the bits and pieces involved in the process. And then I was able to begin the process with a step-by-step direction from him, which I personally thought was the hardest part of the process. And I think the biggest takeaway I got is how working with Christian made the complexity of buying a home feel as smooth as possible. So my process was on a tight timeline as my lease was ending, and with the help of Christian, we were able to go from getting a pre-approval to closing in on my property in a month and a half. So it was definitely a lot of weekends full of touring places that Christian sent me over through his resources. And then from those tours, evaluating pros and cons, and he also helped work with me and my lender to really understand what made the most sense given my budget. We were able to quickly go from pre-approval to closing, within a month and a half, which was really impressive, and I'm glad as I was close to renting another apartment. So as a first-time property searcher, I was looking for 2 beds, and I had lived in the West Loop where I rented the year prior, and I really loved the area. And from the start, I wanted to find a property in that area. Given the market, we looked at some other areas, but the place I ended up purchasing actually ended up in the West Loop, which was really convenient for me as I am able to walk to work. So we looked at certain items like how other properties are selling for in that area, and I thought that was really attractive to me, as well as nearby parks and ease of transportation. I was able to find a place close to the L, which was really convenient for me. So I think the highlight of the transaction for me was that we were able to place a bid amongst a tough competitive market, with the selling point that we were able to close in 3 weeks. And with the help of Christian and the Crotty Group, we were able to achieve that and have a smooth close. And the cherry on top was that we timed it out so that my interest rate on the day of my offer being accepted was almost 1% below what the interest rates were the week prior and the week after. So it really felt like it was meant to be. Yeah, so now looking back on myself, almost 2-3 months ago, I would say that the biggest lesson learned is actually how simple the process is when you work with someone who knows the ins and outs of the industry. Back in May, when I first started the process and had the idea of owning a home, it seemed like a dream that was unattainable since there's so many steps in the process. But with working with Christian and the Crotty Group, I was able to really focus in on and make those processes as smooth as possible. So the advice I would give to someone thinking about purchasing a home is to just get started and reach out to an expert, an agent, to help explain the process to you, and then it might seem a little less daunting. Yeah, I think that's all I got. But